Welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Elected officials hold a unique position entrusted by the people to champion justice, fairness, and the well-being of the community. It's a responsibility that extends far beyond policymaking. It's a moral covenant to safeguard the rights and dignity of every citizen. Yet we cannot ignore the painful reality that not all elected officials possess the capacity to meet the demands of this profound duty.
There were a lot of promises made, not just from elected officials, but also from corporations, to the tune of $60 billion in commitments that we have yet to really see come to pass. What I would say is that although holding elected officials accountable is tiresome, it gets old. It's our responsibility. They work for us. We pay them whether we voted for them or not. That's where your taxpayer dollars go. So I would encourage everyone who is of voting age, every taxpayer actually, so I'll even retract that, every taxpayer, if you're 16 and got a job, you can still hold an elected official accountable to do what you want them to do because they work for you.
Social justice has many definitions. What I focused on is trying to address the issue of inequality from people of color. In the state of New York, trying to address those who have been locked out of the sunshine of opportunity. That includes home ownership, deed theft, individuals who have been victims of wage disparities and wage theft. And so when focusing, on those issues, obviously that can raise the outcomes of individuals who unfortunately are struggling under the weight of poverty.
Were you at all surprised at the problems that you found and you had to address here in the state of New York?
So let me just say that, I've been involved in politics for a very long time, a former city council member, a public advocate in the state of New York, so all these issues are not new to me. I'm true to all of these issues, and that's why it's really critically important that you have in this office, in the Office of Attorney General, who recognizes that the law can be used both as a sword and as a shield.
Beyond the elected officials, organizations say there needs to be more systemic rules put in place.
I will say that there is at least one state, California, that has a Racial Justice Act. So if people present the fact that there was racial disparity, racial bias at the point of sentencing, they can actually present that to a judge, and that could be the point of a claim for a resentencing order in California. The reality is more states need to pass laws like that, because throughout somebody's criminal case, particularly for black defendants, the level of racial animus from comments that the police might make during the arrest, from comments that the prosecutor might make while considering the case, the levels of racial bias can be well documented and should be a point of consideration for the judiciary. So we need more laws like the Racial Justice Act, which is on the books now in California.
And we have recently seen some changes federally when it comes to federal sentencing guidelines through Congress. Is that enough? Do we need more?
It's absolutely not enough. There needs to be additional laws passed within Congress to revisit some of the mandatory sentencing laws that were adopted 30, 40 years ago. We're actually in the 50th year of mass incarceration. 1973 was the first year that the prison population started to surge. So it's a problem at the federal level with federal mandatory sentencing laws, but it's also a problem within states. So states need to revisit their laws, the federal government needs to revisit laws, and in addition to changing the laws that can send people to prison or keep them in prison for too long, changes around arrest policy and other post-sentencing policies need to be changed as well.
While elected officials have considerable responsibilities, the truth is that as citizens, we are the ones who place them in those positions, and consequently, we also have a duty to fulfill.
Everything that we do is politics, and I think people forget how important it is that we stay engaged in politics. People say, I don't like politics, I don't like politicians. I didn't either. But everything you do, every time you purchase something, is politics. Your tax dollars are being used to make decisions, whether you want to be in that decision or not. And I think we have to be engaged.
Make a plan to vote with them. And when I say make a plan, it means, okay, are you registered to vote? Where do you go vote? How am I going to get you there to go vote? Do you know that who's on the ballot? Do you know the issues that are on the ballot? Because issues are huge. We saw last year women's right to their bodily autonomy literally being taken away. And it's on the ballot in every single state.
When we return, justice in the judicial system. Renowned scholar Michael Eric Dyson discusses the roots of disparities in the courtroom.